look at this shirt.
I am your father. I like the shirt.
Right?
I think it's a good way to intro this. I like Sean's shirt, and I hope you guys like it too. Welcome to an episode of Business Technicalities.
I love it.
Me and
Let's go.
Sean, we have someone we want to interview today. So this is going to be the first guest of Business Technicalities, and it's Gene with Traceless, and he's got an interesting. Started as an MSP IT, had some ideas, and seen a gap in the market, and is now filling that gap with a new tool that they came up with. So simple way to describe it, right?
Yes. You know what, Tom? You're a man of many words, and you're able to simplify things. I really appreciate that. Yes, Gene is let's step back. Gene's actually was an MSP. We're going to bring him on in a second here, of course. We're not just going to talk about him behind his back. But he's still an MSP currently. And he came up with a product concept, which he actually applied last year to the Pitch It competition and won it for Connectwise. That's kind of how I even got involved with Gene. And I'm not going to talk about the product itself. I'll let him discuss it because I would do no justice to it. I'd probably butcher it. Actually, it's very simple, but I'll let him, but he likes to talk. So I'm going to make sure he has his words to say. But yes, the product is really geared towards MSPs and their clients. It's a very simple piece. That's a very necessary piece, and we'll bring him on. But remember, everybody, if you like what you hear for today with Gene, let us know in the comments. If you have questions or want to know how to contact him, let us know in the comments. We'll be happy to make introductions.
And we won't go into it now, but just so you know, there's a link down below to what Pitch It is and a lot more information about that. And you can always reach out to Sean to get more details. But for now, let's talk to Gene because he's done this Pitch It thing before. Hey, Gene.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Absolutely.
It is Friday, isn't it? Oh, my God.
All day.
All day. I know. And it's a holiday weekend, but I'm not really taking off.
Yeah, me either. Well, I might go do something. I don't know.
Dude, you're on a motorcycle, driving around, taking
the weather's nice.
Yeah. Well, Gene's over in New York, so he has the same weather problems, right?
Yeah, we're all in the same close enough area that we're not enjoying that sunny Florida weather or anything like that. So
we all had a crappy winter. So it's
that too.
Oh my God, it's supposed to snow on Tuesday.
I don't want to hear that.
What
we do want to hear about is Traceless and how you came up with the idea for it, though. If not, we can't change that. We can change some people's minds on how you send passwords and encrypted things, because I shouldn't put it in an email. We'll at least start there. But where should you put it is always, we always, as cybersecurity people, going, don't do that. But then if we don't have an answer to what they should do, you may have to come up with a product to do it.
Yeah, it was interesting. So as you guys were saying, I'm still an MSP owner. We're an Apple-focused MSP, so it's a little weird compared to the traditional MSP model. But that's been great, and because of that, I got to participate in a peer group that was started by Arnie before he left Connectwise. It's called the Cso Think Tank, and just a great group of people. And really, the purpose of that group was to talk about what's going on in the industry, how people are selling security services, what's an MSSP really, what is it going to be, and then also how are MSPs protecting their own house, so to speak. And I think that was a really interesting place for me to get exposed to the fact that MSPs are real targets, and fellow business owners like myself were being put out of business because of being hacked, right? And some of these MSPs, I think it's easy to think, oh, well, you left the door open, shame on you, you're an IT person. But the reality is that a lot of the MSPs and vendors who have gotten breaches actually have decently sophisticated operational maturity and cybersecurity practices. And so that was a real eye-opener, hearing how MSPs were getting compromised. And I had just realized I had all this plain text data sitting in Connectwise Manage. And I say this with being totally honest to the community, that we had a practice that sounds insanely stupid, right? We were sending plain text passwords. And I think for me, it's like, we're all at a...
Did I just stop you there? Did you see Tom's face?
You can roast me here. Yeah,
did you see Tom's face? He goes,
I did. Now it's on the internet. Great.
I'm not gonna say that I've never done something insecure. I've worked in IT. We joked because even back in the days, we would just telnet into servers all over the internet, because I've been working this for 25 years. So it was common to telnet and just pass plain text configs along from wherever you were and everything else to set up internet facing equipment. That was just the way things were done. It's never dumb when you're doing it. It's always in retrospect going, wow, that was it's just the way, as you said, even doing sophisticated things, it just over time, what was secure, what used to be the way we did it, there's always, someone exploits it, or we start looking at it in a very broader scope going, wow, there's probably going to be a better way to do this in the future. Let's invent that future. So
yeah. And I think that I'm also say this because MSPs are all at their different level of kind of like securing their own house, right? Let's face it, most MSPs are under 10 employees. That's a slog every single day, right? As a solo business owner, like maintaining clients, sales, employees, operations, you're doing, everything, right? So it's difficult to then turn inward and say, oh, but let's assess ourselves, or let's talk about risk. And let me maybe bring in somebody to look at my business. It's like, forget about the cost sometimes, but it's also the time, right? And focus, the uninterrupted time. And so that was like a real eye opener. And I was like, oh my God, like what happens if somebody gets into our Connectwise managed tenant, right? And that's not a knock on how Connectwise handles security. It's because I think they're doing a good job at it. But like, it's, phishing is real. Employees, I've heard of employees working on personal laptops, and those laptops were compromised, right? Even if 2FA was all turned on everywhere and the MSP was super secure, right?
Or can we just say how 2FA has come a long way? Because I never wanted to use it before because of the multiple portals and journeys I had to take to just authenticate. And if I let my computer go into sleep mode, I had to go do it again, or something like with certain. Oh no! So yes, you run the risk of that for sure. I probably was the biggest culprit. I mean, old
sure, you
employer
work in
of mine.
sales.
Yeah, I'm definitely the worst culprit. I'm the one that clicks on the links. This looks interesting. This looks interesting. This looks, a monkey eating a banana. Click on that. That sounds great. I don't know why, but it sounds great. Let's click on that. No, you're dead on. So no, and I want to go back to something you said though, and actually just how as you're talking, I'm thinking this too. The whole concept behind this, what we're doing here at Business Technicalities, is talking about business owners and how they do things, and the issues the challenges that they see, how they overcome them basically too. You already mentioned how you've enabled, you took away one big piece of concern. And possible, let's talk about if you got in trouble for future litigation even, or whatever you would have to pay for and waste time on and do everything with, right, too, right? So that's all one piece. But most business owners that I know, and Tom and I had this conversation the other day about actually taking back our own time. How do you find time to run two businesses?
Are you asking me that now?
Oh yeah. Yeah, right now at this particular moment.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
right now.
It's not easy, and it's a little unbalanced, right? So I think that the MSP, we merged with another Apple MSP last year, and that has gone really amazingly well for the business. I think we got out of last year and we grew, we didn't lose any employees, and we didn't lose any customers, right? And those were like very large, like, okay, we're all working really hard, and things are going well. And, we've been able to hire very good kind of like management, right? So that's been a key success to finding a little bit more time. And so shout out to all the people who work with me on the MSP side. We wouldn't have achieved that or where I'm at personally without their help, right? And so now we're about like 25 people, right? So you get to that size of scale where you can kind of delegate certain things and afford salaries of people who are, real capable of handling responsibilities. And so the other side with Traceless, what was interesting is that we're at this inflection point where we just finished our SOC 2 Type 2, which was a lot of work for Peter, my partner, and I. And we're looking at raising a seed round because, we want to have more dedicated and focused time to work on Traceless, right? And so I think that that's an area where we've found some friction in available time. right? Because we are both a little bit in between two places. And I think that that'll help alleviate the future of that. It's good because, Sean, honestly, what was interesting about Traceless is that, in the MSP space, it's been 18 years. And honestly, like 16 of those years, 17 of them, we're grinding so hard, right? Like I was talking before about being in that small business and literally just grinding every day as hard as you can. And I forgot what that was like. And so now we're at that phase of Traceless where it's like every day, you need to grind as hard as you can to grow the business and work on a lot of different stuff. So it's definitely, the struggle's real. And I think it was a good learning lesson too, from an idea and then executing a good idea. Right.
Sure.
And that's also, as an MSP owner, I feel like everybody has, even our happiest customers at Traceless are like, yeah, but could you do this? Right. And then I think that as an IT vendor, we're literally yelling at other vendors for our clients on a daily basis, right? Oh, I can't believe they did that. Like, what are you paying this person? They just ruined my life. Like what, the printer vendor, right? It's like, it's tough. Right. And
the printer vendor. I love that you use the printer vendor. That seems like that is the most commonly used.
There's no love in that market.
It's like one of the most commonly used means of just destruction from every IT provider in the world.
Yeah. Well, that was like, I saw something on Twitter. It's like, hey, here's a $1 billion idea. Make a printer that actually fucking works.
Yeah.
Right. Never has problems. And they just said, like, take this idea and run. Right. It's free. It's free. Just please, for humanity.
And HP, like, they had such opportunity to do so, and they have actually regressed. Their printers are so much worse than they were even 10 years ago. Like, I don't know why no one solved that part of the market.
I think
we have robots that can go into nuclear fallout zones with no problem. Like,
but printer drivers, that's a mystery.
Because it's a racket. They're providing their own future workload. It doesn't work. You got to hire one of our technicians to do this. I mean, that's just, it's definitely, it's a great partner program.
So it's probably been interesting for you because now, as you're kind of saying, to sum it up, you're on the other side of it, from using products and going, why aren't they having the features, to making a product and people asking you, why don't we have these features? So why don't we have these features?
It's interesting, right? So that's that's one of the things that you come through and start talking about, right? So at Traceless, we really wanted to solve a few problems. We wanted to do it very well, and we wanted to make it very affordable for MSPs, right? And other businesses to use our tool. And I think that narrow focus has allowed us to achieve what we've done to date. And, Peter, my partner, is very talented at development and building scalable SaaS applications. We have a big roadmap this year, and we've onboarded a part-time developer, and that'll free up some time to do some more integrations and bring some more opportunity for MSPs to use us to protect their own business. So we really view ourselves as like an operational cybersecurity software company, and it's different, right? It's not like, hey, install this agent, and we'll call you when there's a problem, or we'll prevent something. It's really like, we want to help you change the way you work to make you more secure, to help the humans be better, right? At not being humans.
Yeah.
Because that's like the biggest, that's the biggest link, right? Is the humans.
It's tricky because the goal in technology is ultimately what we want to do. I mean, we, as not just MSP, but what software should be doing for all these people, is making their business life easier. And sometimes these things are opposing ideas, but honestly, when I think the biggest software successes come from when it actually achieves the goal of being human usable and also making their job more efficient. When we think about a paperwork process converted to a digital process, hopefully that process is now more efficient, more scalable, and allows the business to grow. So this is always where trying to find that usability so it works, as you kind of said, in a human factor, so humans can use it fluidly and not be insecure, because it is fluid just to throw a password in an email. Not the best secure method. So saying not to do it, like I said earlier, versus here's a better way to do it, is a better answer for them, because here's an easy way to do it is the ultimate answer of, don't worry, this is just as pain-free. It's just throw it in here and send this, and away you go.
Yeah.
So getting to that usability obviously is a lot more work than people think it is.
Yeah, and also like thinking about the customer's experience, right? So at our MSP, we really talk a lot about experience and how our customers are experiencing our services, right, and our products. And when you want to communicate a complex password phonically to someone over the phone, you think that non-technical person likes you hearing Brava Alpha 4, no 4, no S, no F. Which one is it, capital or lowercase? It's just like it's time. And
Yeah.
So the alphanumeric is not working for you like that? I mean, and it's four, by the way, not just four, it's four. Just to let you know.
exactly. Right. So this is why, because
Yeah.
my clients are like,
And
hey, man,
it's niner, not nine. It's niner. Yeah.
So
And
make
actually,
sure everyone goes through military training prior to.
it took me 9 years of the Army to learn that. So I got it. I'm good. We can go through the alphabet. You can say to me, but even with what you just said, I would have to know, is it lowercase or uppercase? How do you, there's nothing in that tells you upper or lowercase. We basically stuck with, it's one case. It's always lowercase. We're not dealing with it, but actually you saying, Tom, just how you explained it too, just, I never, the epiphany came to me as you were saying it, like, my mother is the prime example of a worst password person ever. With like if your mother or parents were like mine, my mom kept her key in the mailbox for the past like 20 years, right in front of her door. So literally and I'd be like, hey mom, is the door open? Like she would be leaving, like going to bingo, because she freaking loved bingo. Hey mom, is the door open? And she would yell from across the street, the keys are in the mailbox. That's exactly what you're doing when you email passwords or you call somebody and you're talking publicly to them, right? You're literally giving the key to their house. Yeah, that's my mother. My mother in bingo. Actually, we should just create a meme for that with my mother going to bingo, yelling, the keys are in the mailbox. That should be your next marketing campaign, Gene.
Hey man, if you do that, I will so quickly make a Facebook account for Traceless. That'll be the first one, and then we'll be
rich.
Wait a
minute.
So
wait.
Facebook page, we're good.
Wait, hold on. So I have to do something for you to do something for the betterment of your company.
Yeah. No, you don't have to, but I'm willing to like bring you in as a guest. See, like we're here today as guests for Tom. Like,
no, you're mine and Tom's guest. This is me and Tom. You're the guest.
What are we gonna do, Sean? I don't know.
Gene, I'm trying to figure that out, dude. Seriously, with you, it's been a lot. No, so let's go back to it though. Now back to juggling the businesses and back to you said about people asking for more features. And like Tom said, it's a little bit different when you're on the vendor side saying, why don't you just make this? How do you determine, because one struggle point I know for MSPs at large is determining what they're actually selling and what kind of service they're providing. Like Tom is he's a unique MSP. He already has what he does under lockdown. He has a set core amount of things he's going to offer. He knows what the price points look like. If he can make more of it, great, he will. But otherwise, he already knows where he belongs. And now that you've just ventured into a whole new world of the vendors, which as you'll come to find is very similar to being a business owner's MSP in general, because they're still all the same moving pieces. But how do you determine on what's a legitimate feature request rather, or what's a legitimate or non-legitimate? How do you determine these things?
Yeah, I mean, I think the initial ramp, we spent a lot of time and money on security, right? So this was something where, as a SaaS application in the security space, we kind of really wanted to make sure all of our ducks were in a row and all the holes were plugged, right?
Yep.
And so that's where we spent most of our time on the beginnings, and also making it scalable and perform well. I mean, again, shout out to Peter. We really haven't had a lot of tickets over 2 years, almost 3 years now, for, hey, your program's not working, right? So that's like where we invested a lot of time. And so, with features, what we try not to do is get sucked into hey, I'll buy this if you get this feature, right? Because a lot of times that's one client. And I'm not saying that person's wrong, but it may not just be what we need to focus on. So for example, a feature we're about to drop is limiting or specifying the method of communication for end user request verification. So Tom, this is another feature of Traceless that we didn't talk about, is how do you know who's calling your service desk, right? How do they know that that's that person? And I think once we hit COVID, this became a really interesting point of conversation, right?
Yes.
Everyone left their, home, their big office via PBX, and went to their homes and used their cell phones, right? And so that basically, for verification of users, this was like somebody said, hey, I only want to make sure my text can send SMS to a known cell phone number. I don't want them sending an email. I don't want them sending it to an alternate cell phone. Okay, great. That's a really good feature, right? Because it helps you use our product more effectively. It helps your team be more clear on the usage of the application without training. So that's a feature that we're about to launch in the next week or two, right? So yeah.
I was gonna say, I think it's a level of operational maturity too, of not getting caught up in this, where you have a client and they're going to sign on X number, and that number's big, and you're like, cool, I love to sign you, and they slide it across there, as long as you add this feature you want, because the goal is, obviously grow the business and have more clients, but it also takes this decision-making tree you have to go through and decide, do I want that many endpoints on there? That would be great for our bottom line. Everyone in the team would like it, but I don't know if we can do this feature, or I don't know if we can do it well. And making that decision is really hard. But I think I don't mind sometimes, to me, because I've talked to companies before, if they say no, sometimes I look at, especially if they're newer, it's an operational maturity level of, they said no, but then give me the reason why. Like, we don't think we can do this well yet. We'd love to put it on our roadmap, but it's not going to be, we can't do it now, and we won't promise it to you if you sign. I don't think that's a bad answer, but it's actually, to me, kind of, as I said, operational maturity to say no sometimes, because the money dangling there when you're in startup mode is tempting. You just went through SOC 2. That's expensive.
Yeah. And real pen testers, they are, from the military.
They're expensive.
They're expensive.
Everything was alphanumeric, is what you're saying when they talked.
Yeah, like a robot. It was crazy. No, but like, the other thing that we've had a lot of good feedback about is like, hey, you guys are doing something so precise. Don't F it up, right? Don't just go into all these areas, because I think that's also, I joke with people. My first time at ITNation Connect was amazing, right? I was like, oh my God, I have all these tools. I'm going to be the best MSP ever, right? And then the next year I went back and I was like, oh my God, now I have tools that manage all the tools I bought last year. This is amazing. I'm so excited, right? And then the third year I'm like, buy nothing, like, do not buy anything. Just go and learn and have drinks and socialize, and so what happens is, you have a lot of tools that have feature overlaps, right? And so what we're focused on this year is going deeper in our current feature set, making the product easier to use. And we're also looking at places where we feel there's a gap in the marketplace for MSPs, right? So, some of our features this year are around protecting Connectwise Manage, right? Some like advanced threat protection for Connectwise Manage, right? And this is not a dig. Again, I think Connectwise has spent an enormous amount of time and money on securing their applications. I mean, that peer group moved into an advisory council. So that was like really close to that group. They're a great group of people working very hard and doing great work for us as MSPs. But, there's still like data and things that you can detect inside of Manage that I wouldn't expect Connectwise to look at, right? Because that's not what they're advertising.
So
right? And this is
are you saying that it's essential to understand that there's not a one size fits all on vendor and products, and that you may have to look at a third party product, a company such as yourself or others that are involved, depending on where you are in the process of, we're using security right now, where you are in the security process of vetting out vendors to actually complement each other, right? So it's kind of, and it goes back to the basic conversation of every MSP is why do they care so much about their stack?
Yeah.
How does it align? And we all know the reason why is your stack has to align for you to make sure you cover as many angles as possible, have A to Z. But the problem that MSPs have with stack acknowledgement is actually marketing and selling it too, or how to explain it. We had this conversation the other day about the fact that none of your, and actually Tom and I did a video on this just the other day when we talked about the Cso Dado thing. Your customers don't typically know of data.
The tools you use.
Yeah, they don't know that unless you're the only tools that they know you use is if you provide hardware for them and it says on their phone or if it says HP on their laptop, right? That's the only thing they really know. And they might know if when they power on their laptop, it says web root or something or whatever.
Yeah.
And they only know how that's for. They just know a bunch of different things pop up that are processing or running or whatever. And they just have to minimize them when they go away or whatever. That's really it, right? I mean, everybody thought McAfee was the greatest thing ever because it was always on every computer, right? It was good at the time, right? But it was like, we have to have it. McAfee, we have to have. No, you did. And there was a bunch of other things that you could do. McAfee did very little at the end, but because they saw it, but that's the only technologies they know of is what they physically see in front of their face. They don't know Datto exists. They may. I mean, if they're investors, they know, right? Especially right now. But yeah, so your point is really valid. The fact that, right, Connectwise or Kaseya or Microsoft, there's a reason Microsoft has a native environment and they have developers that develop in it because they know they're not going to be able to account for it. Why would you want to? Who wants to own all that? So, yeah. Okay. So I know we have like a couple minutes left here. So, Tom.
Yes. So let's describe, we've gotten a lot about how you got there. What all does Traceless do right now today and what's on your roadmap for the future?
Great. So Traceless is a very specific workflow within, we mostly help desk, right? So first, customer verification, right? So how do you know who's calling? One of the other great things about all the Traceless features is it keeps a really concise audit trail in the ticket, right? So this is the other problem is like, how do you actually know when something happens that you guys did right by your customers, that you're doing the right thing, right? So an audit trail was something that we had from the beginning. That's super important. And then we also send and receive text, data, or files. So you can also use Traceless to send very large files. We support up to 200 gigs of a single file. Yeah. So we also have a standalone application. So anyone outside of Connectwise, whether you're a business that needs to communicate sensitive information properly, and you don't want to use Signal or WhatsApp or you're texting, you can use Traceless. And you can also, if you're an exec, right, or you're an HR or finance person in an MSP, you may not be in Connectwise all day, right? And again, our thing is like, do communicate how you want to, but when there's sensitive information involved, whether it's text or file, use Traceless. It's just a better way to send sensitive information.
Yeah, I mean, this is always a challenge. People need documents sent. I need to sign a form. I need to sign. It's April, so it's tax time, and I hate tax time, as we all do. We're all nodding our heads about it. But obviously, there's a lot of documents that need to be sent that have a lot of details on them that I would prefer not everyone have access to. So, and this is where this comes in. We still, especially in the remote world, have to transmit all this data. We have to get it places where it needs to be. And I know someone's gonna say, "But faxes are HIPAA." Shut up. So quit sending faxes, exactly. Man.
You know what? Only dentists, doctors, and attorneys will say that first off.
And real estate agents, they love
their
faxes.
Yeah. Like, faxing is like, it is the most compliant, secure piece of equipment in the history of everything. It's amazing. Like, and the fax machine sits in their lobby. That's the best part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Papers come out.
Then you can walk by and grab it.
Yeah. It's in their lobby hanging out right next to the coffee machine for the public. They're like, don't worry about that. That's just paperwork on somebody's. Yeah, that's their social. But we're HIPAA compliant. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah. So I think there's such a need for this. I like that if you check out your website, it'll be linked down below, but it's traceless.io. It's really straightforward and simple. There's not a lot of convolution. I didn't go to your website and then go, I don't know what this guy does, because I've certainly gone to some websites and I'm like, I'm still not sure what some people do.
Yeah, which is, again, we're trying to keep it simple, easy to use, easy to integrate. It takes less than 10 minutes in Connectwise Manage. And this year is going to be really exciting. We're adding a lot more on the identity side, more integrations. We'll be doing things like custom branding, right, for those MSPs who want all their logos everywhere. And then new products. So we have change management approvals. So this is kind of like another area that I think is a very open space for innovation. We're also doing data loss prevention, right? There's not a single app in the marketplace that handles analyzing the data in your Connectwise Manage to see if someone's literally putting password data or encrypted things inside of a ticket, right? So that's going to be something that we launch. It'll be for free. detection for MSPs. Again, like my goal is to like run a good business, but also make it that I'm making an impact, and Traceless is making an impact on the security of MSPs. That's literally why the company was started, you know?
Yeah, and change order management, that's another, it can be a tricky one as you deal with larger and larger clients with large amounts of people who could potentially say yes to getting something done, and employees are asking, making sure you have a good process for that or tools for that is really important.
Yeah. So, and then, like I said before, some advanced threat protection. So we're currently very deep in data anomalies, watching our own logging daily. We get alerting all the time. And there's definitely been some things where, hey, you're an MSP owner. By the way, do you know that your sensitive information was just picked up in Pakistan? Right? Did you know that? And then we basically alert these manually.
That's because I won a prize. I sent over my information.
Yeah, exactly.
I got 1 billion gold bullions, and I'm gonna retire now.
And of course, it was a sales guy that did it.
For sure. But better than buying
gift
cards, right? Apple gift cards, right? At least they didn't do that.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be good. I think we got a fun year. We're doing a lot of events. So we'll be at Robin Robbins next week. We're doing all the Evolve meetings. We'll be at some ASCII events, ITNation Connect. So
you'll be hanging out with me.
You'll be doing, instead of going there to buy more products and tools, you'll be there selling a product and tools. You get to be on the other side of it and learn the ropes of being in a booth. So that's fun too. Whole new learning experience, I'm sure.
It was fun not going to a single presentation at ITNation Connect. I felt like I was like at school, but I didn't have to go to class. It was amazing.
That's great.
It's only fun the first couple of times, Gene, and then you realize you're just on your feet all day, and people are like, well, "What do you have to sell me?" Then you see you 10 years ago talking to a vendor, like, "All right, dude, what is it? What are we talking about here? Can you tell me that doesn't make any sense?" I love that one. It's like, okay, then walk away.
Yep,
that's it. And here's your stamp.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's your stamp, and
it's right there. Your stamp is right there. Just stamp your card.
Good luck.
Good. Yeah, I hope you enjoy your journey.
Yeah, that's all good though, right?
God. No, it's so yeah. Gene's going to be at a bunch of conferences. Actually, I'll be seeing him at several. Are you going to wear the hoodie and sweatpants to everything?
Yeah, man. We've got our traceless hand dyed camouflage jumpsuits, which was really funny. Like what happened was, I know we're pressed for time. I just got to tell you guys, like the first time we were going to ITNation Connect, and Peter was like, "Hey man, I'm going to wear sweatpants." And I was like, "No, you can't wear sweatpants, bro." I'm like, this is like, I'm not saying we have to wear branded polos, but you can't wear sweatpants. Okay. And he's like, "Well, why not, man? We're going to be on our feet all day. We need to be comfortable." And I was like, okay, I'm listening. Right. And that's kind of evolved into what you saw us wear. And that was, one of the judges, Amy, from Pitch It, was like, not going to lie, it was kind of hard to focus on what you guys were pitching because of your outfits, So I was like, okay, fair enough. Feedback received. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, we're having fun, man. We're having fun.
Yeah.
So you can so I guess the point I'm making is you'll know where Gene and team is by the really well-dressed group that they are. It reminds me of Cross Colors and Crisscross from when we were younger. That's the look and vibe I have from looking at that. And it's really nice.
Thanks.
Hey, stand out, do something different. If anyone hasn't read it, the Purple Cow book makes me think of that. That's an old marketing book, but it's a good one. It's a short read, and everyone's looking for their purple cow. So,
absolutely.
So if you see me and I'm like getting a drink, come say hi. I'll buy you a drink. If I'm waiting in the cafeteria line, let's talk about what we're having for lunch. If you want to ask me about Traceless, that's good too. But it's us, okay?
Pretty absolutely.
I'm just glad we recorded that. If I see you at the bar, go buy me a drink.
Yeah, we have some. It's like let's hear.
That's gonna be the subject of this actual video. This
guy will buy you a drink.
Exactly. Hey man, it pays to advertise.
That's a good thing on your shirt. I'll buy you a drink and so I can talk about my product. Actually, that'd be fun like advertising on the shirt too.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah.
That's what this
Quid
is.
pro.
No shame. Literally feeding you alcohol to listen to me talk.
I'd be probably down for that. So
well, it's better. So, but here's the deal, though. I'm not going to listen to you talk. Okay,
Oh.
you know,
if
if
I
you're
got a
drunk
whiskey
and you
in
want
my
to
hand,
talk
I
to
got nothing to
somebody,
say.
I'll just buy you a drink. No, I'm just kidding.
I like how Tom said, I'm probably down for that. No, Tom is down for that, period. Not probably.
definitely
He's
down for
trying,
that.
he's trying to sound like he's easy. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
But a whiskey in my hand, I'll listen. Whatever.
I'm a good Catholic girl. I'm not into this. Yeah, I got it.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Links down below to everything we talked about. The trace list, the pitch it from Connectwise, and leave some comments, feedback. Let us know what you want to see. Thanks.
Thanks,
Great.
Gene.
Thanks, guys.